Senator Cantwell, it is so nice to see you.
It's great to see you.
Okay, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it,
I saw you in Seattle.
I know, go Hawks.
Yeah.
So that's a very important one.
You were there.
What did you think of that?
Oh, such an exciting moment, really for our whole state. I felt like our whole state got into it in supporting the Seahawks, obviously. Eastern Washington University grad and Cooper Cup, and the whole thing was great. But we're so excited for bringing home, the championship. Just an unbelievable moment.
Well, we love that, and I am going to have an Olympics question for you at the end here, but I do want to talk a little bit about money with you. I mean, obviously the Tech Hub dollars that are coming in from that last appropriations bill, pretty significant. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $48 million.
A little higher.
Is it 70?
A little higher than that, yeah.
What is it?
70.
70 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got $70 million coming into Spokane. What is that going to do?
Big responsibility for Spokane, big responsibility. It is literally saying the next part of aerospace manufacturing could go to this new type of manufacturing, very high rate piece part. So it means a transformation. So you might, right now we, at a high rate of production, might produce 40 planes a month, but they think that this new manufacturing will lead to 100 planes a month. So who's going to figure out how to achieve that? And so there's a consortium of about 10 businesses, 12 universities, all working together collaboratively to try to figure out the next science and manufacturing processes that will actually achieve that. And that responsibility is going to a tech hub, a consortium of business and university research, and it's going to be done here in Spokane.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, obviously our state is a powerhouse in the aerospace industry, but I think people oftentimes think of Seattle, so we're getting some of that love now. I mean, obviously we used to have Boeing Spokane and then Triumph Composites, which were incredibly important in that evolution of the industry, but now we've kind of fallen off the map. How were you able to help move that conversation?
Well, we really hadn't fallen off the map is the issue, is that there is probably from Moses Lake all the way over to Coeur d'Alene, a corridor of people who are providing what I would call supply chain support for both Boeing and aerospace, but also for the space economy. People don't realize how much our state is doing in space, and those supply chain manufacturers here in the Spokane region are producing parts for them as well. So there was a core group of industry here, but then they too were looking about how do we conquer the next best, greatest types of manufacturing improvements so we can win more business for the future. And a group of people led by Gonzaga University and other institutions, University of Idaho and others, really put this proposal together to say this is how we do it. And what people don't realize is there has always been an aerospace manufacturing group here, there has. And when the Triumph facility used to be out at Airway Heights, there was a time in which Boeing was producing here. So now it's really about saying, okay, how do we get this next level of manufacturing expertise accomplished? How do we get that accomplished? And I think that Spokane is a great place to do that. In fact, when I talked to the new Boeing president about this, he said, oh, well, you'll never be able to do that in Seattle. It's too expensive. And I said, yeah, well, we're not. We're going to do it in Spokane.
Well, we're happy to have the business here. I mean, obviously, that's bringing multiple groups together. I know Washington State University is one of those groups as well.
Yes, they are too.
The long-term investment, what does that mean for the region?
Well, the whole idea behind this, which was in the CHIPS and Science Act, was to say, what can we do? Something might happen along these lines, but it might take another 20 or 30 years to do. But if we put a little bit of investment in, we might be able to pull it off in the next 10 years. And that is, how do you create a new cluster of manufacturing excellence and expertise so that other people want to locate within the region too, because they know it is already solving these manufacturing challenges. So that is really what we're saying. And when you look across the United States of America, Spokane was very ready. It had a lot of that history, but it also had a workforce that was capable of doing it, also being more affordable. So we're really saying, how do we now take this responsibility and actually achieve it? So there's a lot of people around the globe that would also like to produce the next great plane, and they will be competing. And so it's really important for us to figure out how to do that. And so I think that Spokane's consortium and expertise is really going to be counted on.
As someone whose family comes from the aerospace background, I guess you and I think toured a facility here that's working on the space front, but I wouldn't have associated Spokane as the next space frontier, if you will.
Well, I think it's interesting because what we found out in Chips and Science is that there is a lot of manufacturing, a lot of science, next generation technology that needs to be created. But if you think about it, if America tries to compete with China or Asia in general, or even Europeans, but you only compete in places like Seattle and Silicon Valley and in Boston, we're not going to be as successful. But if you can go to the next cities that can actually pull these things off and say, hey, you step up and do this in a more affordable way, but figure it out for us, now you're advancing more and more science and competitiveness for our nation. And so that's really, so I don't think, I think if you went around and asked a lot of people in Spokane, they would say, oh no, we've been trying this for a long time. And so, and if you asked a lot of people in Spokane, they would say, and we've been getting ready for a long time. And when you think about the university district, and when you think about other things, and when you think about what's happening out at the airport in general. So
Another
I think
major expansion.
I think people have been getting ready for a long time.
Well, we're happy to have the space race in Spokane, and 70 million, my apologies there, coming to Spokane from legislation that you worked on. My final question just on that front. I mean, obviously Congress is in a difficult position. There's no getting around it. There was just recently those appropriation bills that you all came together to work on and get across the finish line. I know this was added to that. How are you able to work with Republicans right now? They obviously have the majority to get a dollar amount like that included for the city of Spokane.
Well, the good news is the Tech Hub was already declared a Tech Hub, so people knew that its value had been established. And I do think our Idaho colleagues are very much supportive of this. The Post Falls company has kind of taken the lead in this technology. And so it really is saying to people, do you want us to compete against other countries? Do you want us to succeed in something as large as aerospace manufacturing? The world has a demand for something like 40,000 new planes. But the first 100 years of Boeing, a lot less competition. The next 100 years is going to have a lot more competition. So we need to basically achieve this by getting other people to help. And you keep mentioning the space race, and the space race is very real too. And a lot of the manufacturers here in Spokane do build for people like Blue Origin and other companies. And so they are really trying to figure out how to be really cost effective and productive in that. So it is an exciting time. And hopefully Spokane will continue to raise the awareness of how important this is to the region. But really, Spokane's going to try to answer a very, very important aerospace question for America's competitiveness. So I know we'll get it done.
Excited about all of that and appreciate your time. Obviously have to leave you with the Olympic question. I know in your committees you've been involved in Team USA. What's your favorite sport? What are you watching right now? And is it figure skating?
Oh, well, I like the big victory yesterday by the hockey team because there's a couple people from the Torrent that are on that team. And so scoring goals was a big moment. So I'm very excited for the next game there.
Okay, well, we'll leave it right there. Senator, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.